This is the Madison County Board of Commissioners. We're meeting at the Agricultural Extension Center, Auditorium 30 at 309 North Parkway in good old Jackson, Tennessee. It's Monday, May the 17th, 2021. Time is 8:31. Appreciate all you being here. We'll all rise. I'd like to ask Pastor Brewer to come forward. He's a pastor of Forest Heights United Methodist Church. He happens to be my pastor. Drew, appreciate you being here. He's going to lead us in our prayer and our pledge.
Good morning. My name is Drew Brewer. I am native-born Jacksonian. Some of you I know. Some of you I've known just about all my life. And for those of you who I'm meeting for the first time today, I want to say that I retired about 2 years ago. It lasted 6 months. My dream was to retire here in Jackson, my hometown, where I could be near my family and my daughter, who is an employee at the Madison County Library. She's the children's librarian there. And my grandson, Abram, who's 5 years old. And the bishop called me and asked me to take this appointment at Forest Heights. And I said yes. And a week later, the pandemic hit. So I'm glad to be here. I'm proud to be here. Thank you, Gary, for asking me. And before I have the prayer, I wanted to say thank you to all the members of the County Commission, Mayor Harris, all other officials for guiding us through this year. It's not been an easy year. I know that. You know that. But we've made it through and hopefully starting to see a little daylight, and I expect this will be a great year. Let's pray together. Holy God, we thank you for being the God of wisdom, and we ask that your wisdom will guide us today as we gather for this meeting, that you will give us clarity as we can effectively tackle each part of the agenda today, a vision to see problem areas, and a discernment to show us the best solutions. Help us to take the ideas expressed here seriously, and if we disagree, let it be on the content and not on personality conflicts or power plays. Help us to resolve any disputes gracefully. And we also ask that you would bring unity. We have come together as a group chosen by the people we represent and united in purpose to do our very best to help this wonderful county, the city of Jackson, be the best it can be. We pray for open hearts and minds that will promote and accept better ideas. We seek your honor in everything we do and say, and so we lift this meeting to you. Be in our midst. Bind our hearts and minds by your Spirit. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Alexander. Here. Arnold. Here. Beckham. Here. Brantley. Here. Brown Claudel. Here. Brown Scott. Here. Bryant. Here. Bush. Here. Cleek. Here. Compton. Here. Deaton. Here. Ellison. Here. Gobble. Here. Hale. Hampton Pearson. Johnson Arthur. Here. Johnson Barber. Here. Martin. Here. Mercer. Montague. Here. Teddy. Here. Spearman. Stevenson. Here. Taylor. Here. Wall. Here. Mr. Chairman. 22.
22 present, 3 absent. Do we have a motion to approve the April minutes? So moved. Have a motion by Commissioner Brantley, second by Commissioner Brown. Do we have any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Item number 3, presentation by our county mayor.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I do have a proclamation this morning that I've been asked to read. We do this every year. This whereas despite advances in medical technology and research, men continue to live an average of 5 years less than women, with Native American and African American men having the lowest life expectancy. And whereas COVID-19 is destroying lives across the country, with the CDC reporting that males are more likely to die from this pandemic, and encouraging safe behaviors including social distancing, wearing masks, and being vaccinated to help stop the spread of COVID-19. And whereas men are educated about the value of preventive health, men who are educated about the value of preventative health will be more likely to participate in health screenings, and fathers who maintain a healthy lifestyle are role models for their children and have happier, healthier children. Whereas Men's Health Network worked with Congress to establish National Men's Health Week as a special campaign to help educate men and their families about the importance of positive health attitudes and preventative health practices. And whereas the Men's Health Month website has been established at menshealthmonth.org and features resources and information about awareness events, including Wear Blue Day, which is June 18th, 2021. And whereas in Madison County, Tennessee, Men's Health Month will focus on a broad range of men's health issues, including heart disease, diabetes, mental health, prostate, testicular, and colon cancer. And whereas the citizens of Madison County, Tennessee are encouraged to increase awareness of the importance of a healthy lifestyle, regular exercise, and medical checkups. Now therefore, I, Jimmy Harris, Mayor of Madison County, do hereby proclaim the month of June 2021 as Men's Health Month and encourage all our citizens to pursue preventative health practices and early detection efforts. And that's for all you men sitting around here. Take care of yourself. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 4, announcement from the chair. I'd like to call for U.S. Marshal Tyrese Miller. He has a presentation to make. Tyrese, you have the floor, my friend.
Thank you, Chairman Deaton. To esteemed members of the Madison County Commission, it's an honor for me to be before you this morning. And I have to say, this is the first time I've had the opportunity to appear before this body, and I know many of you, and I just truly appreciate everything you do. I also want to say good morning to notice several other elected officials here this morning. Just want to say good morning to you as well. The U.S. Marshal Service, one of the things that we do is we do fugitive apprehensions. It's a very dangerous job, but we take it on. We take that responsibility. We do it with honor, we do it with courage, and we do it with bravery. You know, there are certain things, certain moments that happen in your career and in your life that stick with you. One of those moments happened for me on November the 2nd of last year, when I got a call that a task force officer was shot in the line of duty while trying to serve a warrant. I automatically assumed the worst, and several things went through my mind. But it was one of those moments where you remember exactly what you were doing, and I remember exactly where I was, and it's just one of those moments that I'll never forget. And as information started to pour in, and I was able to put things together, some amazing stories start to develop about things that have happened, about the bravery of the men that were out there, not only from the task force, but from people who assisted the task force. And those people are with the Madison County Metro Narcotics Unit. And I know that this body helps fund the Metro Narcotics Unit, so I thought it was fitting and proper to recognize these men before this body. But before I do that, I want to recognize just a few people in the room. Back here in this corner, if you are a member of the Marshals Task Force, would you please raise your hand? want to put some people on the spot, I want to personally recognize Deputy U.S. Marshal Shane Brown. Would you just raise your hand, please? And also, Special Deputy U.S. Marshal Joe Fry. Would you raise your hand, please, sir? Okay. I'm going to talk about these two men specifically, but at this time, before I do that, I would ask for Investigator Robert Pomeroy and Investigator Mark Taylor, both of Metro Narcotics. Would you come forward, please? I want to read a letter that I sent to Sheriff Mayer and Chief Weiser. And Sheriff, you should be receiving that letter probably today, if I timed it correctly. But the letter is dated May 17, 2021, and it says, to Sheriff John Mayer and Chief Julian Weiser, letter of recognition and commendation for Jackson-Madison County Metro Narcotics Unit Investigator Mark Taylor and Metro Narcotics Unit Investigator Robert Pomeroy. Now, Mark worked for Madison County Sheriff's Office, and Robert worked for the Jackson Police Department. It's a metro unit, of course, and so they represent their agency as well. It says, Dear Sheriff and Chief, I would like to take this opportunity to recognize and commend the heroic efforts of two members of the Jackson-Madison County Metro Narcotics Unit, Robert Pomeroy and Mark Taylor. On November 2nd, 2020, the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force was attempting to serve arrest warrants on Bobby Joe Claybrook Jr., who was wanted by the Dyersburg Police Department for attempted second-degree murder, 3 counts of aggravated assault, and felon in possession of a handgun. Claybrook was listed on the TBI's most wanted list. The task force developed information that Claybrook was inside a dwelling at 201 Morningside Drive here in Jackson, Tennessee. As the task force devised a plan, they requested the assistance of the Jackson-Madison County Metro Narcotics Unit. As the task force and Metro Narcotics approached the house, Claybrook opened fire from a window and shot Marshals Task Force Officer Joseph Fry, striking him 3 times, leaving him incapacitated. The team immediately shifted from an arrest to a rescue mission. Investigator Mark Taylor, who was standing next to Fry, dragged him out of the line of fire and to a corner of the house. Taylor then applied a tourniquet to Fry's wounded left arm. The team attempted to rescue Fry by utilizing a shield, but was unable to reach him due to Claybrook's position as he continued to fire. Investigator Robert Pomeroy created an alternate rescue point by diving through a wooden fence. Now, I didn't say driving. The man dove through a fence. Diving through a wooden fence, essentially creating a hole that was not in the line of fire. The team was then able to reach and extract Fry by entering through this newly created access point. Pomeroy and Taylor, as well as other Deputy U.S. Marshals and task force officers, disregarded their own safety and placed themselves in harm's way to save a wounded officer and rush him to the emergency room. All demonstrated selfless acts that played a pivotal role in task force officers' safety and well-being. On behalf of the United States Marshal Service for the Western District of Tennessee and the United States of America, I would like to commend and thank Investigator Pomeroy and Investigator Taylor. Their actions are in the highest traditions of law enforcement and reflect great credit upon them individually, as well as the Jackson Police Department and the Madison County Sheriff's Office. So, thank you very much. Here's a certificate of appreciation to Mark Taylor. It says, presented to Mark Taylor for your selfless and heroic effort in aiding a wounded member of the U.S. Marshals Service Fugitive Task Force in the Western District of Tennessee on November 2nd, 2020. Signed by myself, and here's a copy of that letter I just read, And here is a challenge, U.S. Marshals challenge coin. So, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Camera, here, we can get a picture maybe. Right here. Robert, yours says the same thing. Robert Pomeroy, for your selfless and heroic effort in aiding a wounded member of the U.S. Marshals Service Fugitive Task Force in the Western District of Tennessee on November 2nd, 2020. Congratulations.
Thanks, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. You got the camera right there. All right.
Thanks, sir.
Gentlemen, either one of y'all want to say anything? Or?
I'm good. My reward's seeing Joe standing right there, so.
Joe, would you come up? Before I take my seat, Chairman, I would just like to personally thank, again, the Metro Narcotics Unit. Guys, would y'all come up too? I want everybody to recognize you as well. Just want y'all to know that, you know, anytime that we've ever asked for any assistance, these guys, this is the unit commander, Chris Long, Lieutenant Chris Long, and Sergeant Gerard Cobb. Anytime we ever need anything, Chairman, they're right there, just jumping on the spot. And Sheriff, I just appreciate the partnership that we have with you, and Major Kemper with the Jackson Police Department. Just thank you for the partnership that we have with your agency. And again, just Chairman, I appreciate your time. I appreciate this forum to recognize these gentlemen. I think this is the proper time, place to do it, and I just appreciate it.
We appreciate you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think we should all be very aware of the quality of law enforcement we have in Madison County, from the Sheriff's Department, the Police Department, and from the U.S. Marshal, who's from Jackson, lives in Jackson, worked for the Police Department for a number of years, who also is a Marine, which doesn't hurt him one bit. But we appreciate their dedication. They don't receive enough recognition, I don't think, but we appreciate you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 5, report from Dr. Marlon King.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I just want to share with you all, as we grapple with the implications of COVID-19 pandemic this year, I want to personally thank this Board of Commissioners and the community for the genuine support that has been shown to the school system. We are definitely grateful for that. But this week brings us to an end of a school year. A school year like no other, and without your support, we couldn't have done it. So again, I want to thank you all for the continued support. Throughout this week, we will have our graduation exercises at either Oman Arena or the Civic Center. One of the reasons for choosing that is so that first we can avoid if we had bad weather, so we don't have to cancel. And the other reason was we want to be family friendly, and I think by offering more tickets to students so that families can participate in this one-time event was most appropriate. So I really appreciate Mayor Conger for his support and willingness to help us accommodate all of our schools for the graduation ceremonies this week. A lot of times people don't get an opportunity to read some of our literature or information that we put out. So if I could actually share the graduation ceremony location very briefly, and I will give this to Ms. Baker, so that if any of the commissioners would like to attend, if you would email her, she'll reach out to my office, and I'll place you on the guest list so that you can participate. For JCM Early College High School, the graduation ceremony will be Tuesday, May 18th at 6 p.m., Oman Arena. Liberty Tech Magnet High School, Saturday, May 22nd, 6:30, Oman Arena. Madison Academic High School, Thursday, May 20th at 6 p.m., Oman Arena. Northside High School, Saturday, May 22nd, 10 a.m., Oman Arena. And Southside High School, Friday, May 21st, 4 p.m. at the Civic Center. A few weeks ago, we received approval from the State Department around our submission for ESSER 2.0, which included around $3.8 million of capital improvement for the school system. With ESSER 3.0, we plan to include the other projects that we have proposed, and also we plan to include all of the community unity projects for 2021. We plan to include that, with the exception of one, and I'll be speaking with Commissioner Stevenson at some point just to talk about the ask from the School Board of Education around the support for the public school design. Next week, our employees will receive bonuses. Our certificated staff will receive $1,000. Our certificated staff will receive $1,500. Our classified staff will receive $1,000. We are expecting a 2.5 insurance premium increase, and I feel confident that we'll be able to take care of that fiscal number for employees, 100% of that next year. Again, I want to thank you all for allowing me the opportunity to serve this community. Are there any questions for me?
Any questions?
Thank you.
Can you give us a little report on the progress with Madison and JCM before it's open?
We met, we had let me think which meeting with this. A work session on Monday, and we received a report from Crockett Construction and his team around some of the hiccups around possible delay. However, we met Thursday, and Mr. Crocker feels confident that we're on schedule. One of the things that they have done differently is that they have moved workers off of the Madison project onto the JCM project, because students at Madison are already in the building, while students who attend JCM are in different schools. And so they are anticipating to make certain that the JCM project is open on time, while there might be a delay with Madison. But because those students are already in the school, we should feel pretty secure about the transition to support that effort.
Thank you, Dr. King. Appreciate it. Item number 6, report from our finance director, Mrs. Karen Bell.
Good morning. The first thing I want to talk about is our fund balance, like I do every month, and bring you up to date on that. If you remember back in February, we adopted the fund balance policy. We are staying well above what we had adopted as far as our 15%, and we are making, as we're working on the FY22 budget, we're working very diligently on the solid waste fund and the juvenile court services fund to transfer and cover that as well. The other thing that I'd like to do today, in conjunction with the awards program that Madison County applies for each year, is our 3-star awards program, is to review with you our debt management policy as well as our current debt balance. If you'll remember, June of last year, we adopted a debt management policy that included the balloon language related to the Madison, the JCM Madison debt that we will be the JCM county. And so we incorporated that into our debt management policy, and that has been filed with the comptroller's office and approved. Next thing that I want to go over in conjunction with the award to make you aware of that we are required to do is where we stand with our debt service. As you know, Madison County is aggressively paying $12.5 million a year on our debt, and you can see for July 2021, we will start out with a debt balance of about $79.7 million. This does include where we are to begin paying the JCM lease payments, which is scheduled for July. Again, that depends on when they actually occupy it as a school, and I'm talking with Attorney Maroney on that to verify exactly when that debt payment will be required. But I want to make sure that you're aware of where we are in our debt service, to bring you up to date on that. The next thing that we need to look at in conjunction with the award is our debt service cash flow. Get that one pulled up. To show the statement of cash flow analysis as required for the 3-star award program. And of course, this is submitted annually with our budget each year by the comptroller and approved, and you can see that we are well on track and making good strides into our debt service for Madison County at this point. The third component of this program that I would like to talk about is our internal controls requirement. And we have documented internal controls from each of our departments. And at this point, I'm going to ask Billy Burkhead, our internal auditor, to talk about some of the things that he does in relation to testing internal controls.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. As Ms. Bell said, each department is required to have an internal control policy. This includes fee collecting offices. They have a more extensive internal control policy because they have to put in how they collect, how they receive fees. And we've expanded that to include all departments to have an internal control policy that explains how they and who has responsibilities in their department for purchasing cards, payroll, who has the controls over that, who can enter that, who has approvals. And we've expanded that to include vehicles, vehicle titles, if the departments have those, and fuel cards. And currently we're working on inventory, and that will be part of internal controls coming soon, as that's being a work in progress, so to speak.
Thank you. The last thing that I know is on the forefront of all of your minds is the federal funding. That portal opened last Monday, May the 10th. We are diligently, and I know you've gotten lots of emails from me in the last few weeks about it, we're diligently monitoring to see how those funds can be used, what they can be used for. I have a webinar today at 1 o'clock. I have 2 others this week. We have a session with the comptroller June the 2nd. So as information becomes available as to exactly what those funds can be used for, we will be making you aware of that. But at this time, it's still very, very gray and uncertain as to exactly what county funds. As you know, in some of the documentation, it's talked about capital improvement projects related to broadband, water, and sewer. None of the businesses that Madison County is in, because we have a local utility authority that handles those things. But we are looking very diligent as to what we can use those funds, and be expecting more emails in the coming days. That concludes my report.
Any questions, Ms. Bell? Item number 7, report from, I'd like to have a report from the Jackson Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, and I got
Mr. Ryan Porter.
I've got a complaint. I've been followed Tyrese at Northside. I followed him at the police department, and then I've got to follow tourniquets and jumping through fences with the. So I'm glad he left. Thank you for the opportunity, and I just wanted to give you guys an update on our 2020 numbers from the Jackson Chamber. 1,167 direct jobs were created by our industry, representing about 84.7 million in direct income, 247.3 million if you combine direct, indirect, and induced income. New annual sales tax of about 2.3 million, but the number that will mean something to you is these companies invested $384 million last year in their local factories and equipment and capital investment, which obviously directly impacts the property tax base. And then the other thing I wanted to update you guys on is Great Wolf Lodge. You know, the state passed their budget a couple weeks ago, and included in that was the $20 million incentive for Great Wolf. So working with Lori and the Visitors Bureau, Visit Jackson, CVB, and the IDB and the city and the county, we'll get to work on the local, finalizing the local incentives, and hopefully get that deal wrapped up soon.
Are you telling us this deal will happen?
If we, and I mean we, locally can get it worked out, yes.
Good deal. That's
It's on
big.
track, which
That's
is good.
big. That's big.
Yeah, it'll be a $150 million investment, about 400-ish jobs, depending on what it looks like out there as far as seasonal, part-time, full-time. It will be a great project for this region, really.
Anybody have any questions for Ryan? Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate the chamber. Item number 8, an update on the jail from Pat English.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity to be here to kind of bring you up on the progress of the jail. I do have a few photographs that say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Here's a little overall picture of the detention pods at the jail. As you can see, the outside brick veneer and everything is complete. The roof is on. We're working on the interiors. We've got some pictures here to show you here in a few minutes. Go ahead and roll to the next one. Okay, this is a view of, those are the detention pods that are there under roof. You've got A, B, G, and H pods. They're completely dried in. The interior finishes are ongoing. As you can see to the left of that, we have another area there that's under roof that's a lower section. That is your kitchen, laundry area, some dining area. On further, you can see the decking is on. These pictures are about 2 weeks old. The roof is almost complete on the part that you see the decking on. That's your intake, booking area, medical facilities, everything are in that area there. Behind, and it's kind of hard to see, let me see if I can get my pointer to work. Right here is the maintenance building. Maintenance building, like I said, these pictures are 2 weeks old. The exterior masonry around it is done. Siding and roof are supposedly starting this week, weather permitting. If we can go on with some more pictures, I think it's a more overview. There's a bigger overview of the area that's not under roof yet, but they should be finishing that this week. They started last week on putting the roof on. Go ahead to the next one. There's an area showing the maintenance building a little bit better. This area right here on the very end is your Sally Port area. The driveway will come in. They'll come in, unload the prisoners in that area, and then come out and exit this way. Go ahead. This is a little interior view of one of the workstations where the guards will be sitting. You can see the downstairs cells there and the cells up above. You can see the ceiling. Hard ceilings are in. The acoustical grid is in, ready to be the acoustical ceiling laid in. Go ahead. There's another view showing the downstairs and upstairs cells, ceiling area. And that's the last one showing all of that. All of the detention pods are completely dry, like I said, and a lot of the interior finishes and everything are near complete. The area that's being under roof now, which is your intake area, booking area, medical facilities, once that's dried in, then we'll start finishes on those areas. As far as completion, schedule shows now completion, substantial completion of November 1st. Then we'll have about a month of training and working out punch lists and everything to turn it over to them to occupy completely.
Very good. Any questions for Mr. English? Thank you. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate the good work you do.
Appreciate it.
Item number 9, report from county officials, standing special committees, and any old business and action thereof by this board. Commissioner Petty?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the property committee, I've got a number of items. Number one, Mike Winslow, Mike, if you will bring us up to speed on the request for the board business. We're talking about Beach Bluff School, this classroom area that's not being used. Go ahead, Mike.
As you know, we've been wrestling with this issue for quite some time now, and it's gotten to the point we've really got to do something. We've got water leaks. We just repaired, permanently, hopefully, knocked some walls out, capped the pipes. The roof is in very bad shape, and we have roof leaks. We had water flooding the basements and whatnot. Now, the immediate issue, and what we're here today for, is if you have been down there and seen the compound, we've got classroom wings that are down at the bottom of the hill. Each classroom has 6 4x8 sections of paned windows, glass. And there's 17 classrooms full of this. And it's to the point now that there's some minor vandalism going on. It could get worse, probably will get worse. So we're requesting some funds to not actually board up these windows, because plywood is, as you all know, is just outrageous right now. We're gonna have Mark Ada in the maintenance department put up metal, like metal roofing material that will be cut to length to fit those windows. That material can be painted to match very closely the red brick on the side of the building. So once it's finished, it's going to protect the windows. It's going to keep access to the building, that nobody will be able to get in it, kids running around the neighborhood, etc. And it won't look like a boarded up building as such. That's just a temporary Band-Aid. We've got to figure out what we're going to do long-term with that portion of the building, and this body needs to decide what we're going to do with the entire complex down there. But right now, we need to secure that building to where there's, to prevent vandalism and prevent somebody from getting in there, because if they get hurt, we don't have a lot of defense, as our attorney can tell you, because we've known about this situation for a long time. And now we've got to do about it. It's the woulda, coulda, shoulda.
All right, so it's a committee recommendation that we, for $5,000 to raise the funds to buy the sheet metal, and our maintenance people will make the installation, so.
$5,000 coming from the general fund.
Yes.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Do we have any other discussion? Commissioner Taylor?
Just wanted to ask, we've got this money coming in, and we feel fairly certain that we're going to be able to use some of these funds to tear these classrooms down. And those funds will be coming in, Karen, when, in July?
July or August.
Okay.
That's part B. I was going to mention that Mike is in the midst of trying to get some numbers together for whenever those funds do become available. We'll have some numbers together of what it would take to for the structure of that area. So,
Yeah, I think we're going to have to do that. There's no question. My only question is it imperative for us to spend the $5,000 now, or can we wait?
From a liability
6 weeks?
standpoint, very much so.
Okay.
Any other questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Now, also, if I can get that drawing up on the board of that property. That's the wrong one. I'm looking for behind, it's on Shannon Street, right behind CJ Street. There we go. We're looking at, you blow it up just a little bit, the area that's shaded in gray there, that's lot number 6. That area is 25 or 65, and the property owners have approached Mayor Harris about the possibility of us buying that. They've offered to sell it for $3,500, and it's valued at $2,000. And so it could be used for parking and for part of the construction cost, and offset some other areas that the contractors are leasing space in other places, that this could be, be used for that and save money on leasing this other property. And we made a recommendation that we have a resolution for the mayor to approach these people for $2,000 offer on that property.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No.
Thank you. All right. The next item is for the community corrections leases on the property for another year. It has to be approved annually. And that's the property is located here in town, also in Henderson, and it's Lexington. The community corrections leases on their facilities where they are. Committee recommendations that we approve those.
Mr. Chairman, the leases, those are drafts. There were errors in those leases, and they were not prepared by me, they were prepared by the third parties. I've requested them to make the corrections and submit them, and have followed up with them. They have not, to date, submitted those to me, so that I can present them to you. And they have to be supported by a resolution. I couldn't get a resolution to you because they haven't submitted them to me.
We'll vote on that for next month.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much. All right,
You got that?
the last item that I have is on the inventory control system, the WASP system that we contracted. We thought we had a real good deal on. We spent about $8,300 for that software. Now all of a sudden, WASP said they're doing away with that system completely. It's not going to be available for us, will not be functional, and that the only other system that we've been able to find is the Munis system. And Karen, if you could bring us up to speed, you've got first-hand information on that. I'll give you the report.
Back when I arrived, July of 19, the county was already looking at WASP for inventory control. And so we decided that perhaps we could use that also for fixed assets related to depreciation and capital infrastructure as required by state audit. The purchase was made in October of 2019. Over the course of 2020, trying to implement, WASP came back and said they no longer going to support that software. Did not tell us at the time the purchase was made. Again, the cost was about $8,300 for the county for the software and the training and the reports. We are working with Mr. Maroney to see about getting that money back. But our Munis software will integrate with our accounts payable, pull the fixed assets, and we get that thing up and running. And the reason we want to do that, the departments gracefully collected all of their data back beginning in March of 2020 and completed that midsummer, right in the middle of the pandemic. So we have all the data collected, and it's in the county's best interest to go forward because departments continue to add to their assets, and we want to make sure we get this done right and also meet all the audit requirements. You had already purchased the fixed assets module from Munis back in 2016 when you made the purchase. All that is required is that we will pick up the maintenance on that, and that will add about $20,000 a year to your maintenance agreement. But it's in the best interest to move forward so that the departments do not delay the collection of the data that they've already captured.
So it's committee recommendation that we do this for $20,000 a year. And I haven't thought about this with the other committee members, but I think we just probably need to look at this for this year for $20,000, and then we take another look at it next year. So it's committee recommendation for $20,000 maintenance, and we'll be able to go to the Munis system and make the transition that will be downloadable to Munis in December, so it's all the way around and meet all regulations that we need to meet.
There will be no cost for FY21. I've already talked to Munis. That cost would not begin on the maintenance agreement until 22. So we're in good shape for this year.
So will it go in January of 22?
It'll start with our fiscal year, July 1. We're billed quarterly for our maintenance, so we'll just pick up July 1 with our new budget year.
Well, let me raise the question. Do we need to consider that at this time, or does that need to be looked at for next year?
We need to look at.
Go ahead with that. Go ahead. So then the committee recommendation stands for $20,000 from the upcoming fiscal year.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any other discussion? No discussion. All in favor, go ahead, Doug.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No.
And then as far as the Conservation Board report, we're getting bids for the contract for the construction or the assembly of the park playground equipment. That bid will be coming June the 1st. We'll have a report next.
Thank you, Mr. Petty.
Thank you.
Commissioner Stevenson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had an insurance committee, a meeting on May 15, 2021. Our insurance balance was $2,240,000.
$111.61, which is a good balance. I mean, we need to keep on track on that. We did have three committee recommendations for a vote. The first one was with the lift. The committee recommended that we continue the Living Well with Diabetes initiative. That's based on the results over the last year. This will be a cost of $2,000 per applicant. Last year we had 9 participants in this program out of 14 that were identified, and the data showed that we had an 89% success rate with improvement or maintaining hemoglobin A1C levels. Mr. Chairman, would you like to vote on each one of these separately? Or?
Yes.
Okay. So that was a committee recommendation. So.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The second one was we recommended the reinstating the lift memberships for employees. With all the COVID and everything, that's sort of went by the wayside. But at the time it was discontinued, the county paid $22.50 monthly for those who participated. The July 1st rate for 2021 will be $35 monthly with a $49 enrollment per employee. The committee is recommending that the county fund the $22.50 per month. The employee will pay $12.50 through a payroll deduction for individual coverage. If the employee wants to enroll, they must do so before July 1 and pay the enrollment fee at the lift. This will be a one-time enrollment and will be for the entire benefit year. There will be discounts on memberships available to employee for other family members, but the county will be paying only for the individual membership. We feel like this is really good because what we're trying to do is get some quantitative results on improvement of our employees' health. So we think it's a positive, Mr. Chairman.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
The last item, Mr. Chairman, was RFP was issued for short-term disability and some of the additional insurance products. Our goal was to see if we could obtain better pricing for employees on a group chassis and receive some tech credits for the self-reporting of plan and work to do automated enrollment. If it is the recommendation of the committee, we move forward with the AFLAC for short-term disability, accident plan, critical illness with cancer rider plan, and eliminate the individual plans and only offer going forward those plans on the group chassis. Employees' prior coverages will not be affected, but have requested AFLAC meet with employees to review the plans to confirm differences for employees and their preference. The county will receive a 2% tech premium for using electronic enrollment program. I'd like Carmita to sort of just discuss this very briefly about the savings for the employees, if you don't mind.
So, we took one example just to see what it would be for a current employee of the products that they currently are carrying with AFLAC, and priced it also with the new pricing that they brought in. It looked to us, when we calculated that this employee could save approximately 23% on their premiums for the year. And that's a pretty large savings for employees. The tech credits is something that we hadn't been getting the advantage of, although we have been self-reporting our premiums to the insurance company and taking care of that on the employees are able to run it through payroll deduction. But we will be able to continue that process. And if employees have built up value in the plans that they have with AFLAC and want to continue, we are permitting them to continue that savings as they can continue the program they're on, or they can look. Our task was to try to find a better pricing structure on the group chassis, and I think that we've brought in some really great cost savings for the employee, for the premium.
So we just need a vote on that, Mr. Chairman.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Excess Resale Property Committee met early last week. We've got 11 properties, so just bear with me for a moment. I will say, if you guys haven't been to the Madison County website recently, you can go out. We've actually got the master list of all the properties that the county owns with a link to it. So instead of having to go through multiple layers to get to that, anyone who's interested in buying a property that the county's taken back for delinquent taxes can now get to that much quicker. And we feel like that's probably, well, it's not going to hurt for sure, but it's going to help get those properties in front of potential buyers, which helps us get those properties back on the tax roll. The first one is 102 Neff Street, and this was I guess a joint venture with Jonah Affordable Housing with the city, where they're doing a low, I think it's a low income build for someone who doesn't have a place to live, almost like a Habitat for Humanity setup. And so we did approve this. It was at $25 for the purpose of building a house so that a family can get into that property. Committee recommendation.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
All right, the second one is 127 Roland Avenue for $2,000.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
The third is 1624 Parkburg Road for $800.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
114 Logan Street for $1,000.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
46 Hickory Hollow Drive for $1,800.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
151 Fowler Alley for $800.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
142 Prince Edward Street, $1,039.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
803 East Main Street, $1,500.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
121 Preston Alley, $1,100.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
835 East Lafayette Street, $1,260.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
And 630 North Royal Street, $2,250.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Any other committee reports, Ms. Johnson?
Yes, I wanted to say something about the library. We have the best library, I think, in the whole state of Tennessee, and the greatest. We have a great lady that runs it, Miss Dinah, and she has the best imagination in the world and is always thinking about something she can do more. And I heard in the news, and when you hear this on the news and not just hear talk or hearsay, that many, many more people are going back to the library because after they've looked at a screen all day long, they want a real book to hold in their hands to read. So anyway, I'm really proud of our library, and we're looking for ways to extend it and to improve it and make it even better than it is. And so I just wanted to say that. And also, we have one of the largest farmers' wives, not the largest farmer's wife, but the largest farm owner's wife here today, and she would like to speak to us about this before we
Sure.
vote on it.
Come on down.
Representative Donald.
Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you again about this ag auditorium.
Ma'am, that's on the agenda, so It's on the agenda, so when that comes up, we'll recognize
Okay,
it.
would you please call on me? at
Sure,
that
we
time?
will, yeah. I'm gonna move item number 11 in front of number 10, because the mayor has to leave.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate that. Just a couple of things, I think you're aware, I'll spit it out, the TBI Crime Lab opened up, and it was officially opened now at the airport. I didn't get a chance to go through it, but I understand it's a state-of-the-art facility that all law enforcement all across West Tennessee is really, really glad that it's there and it's open, because the belief is the turnaround time on evidence and things like that, in cases they're dealing with, will be greatly increased and improved. The THP headquarters out there had their opening, but I think it's going to be another 30 or 45 days before they will officially man that and open out there, but that's a great looking facility as well. And I just want to remind you as well, we lost one of our deputies last month, Terry Dyer. Terry worked at CJC, was in court as an officer and had a heart attack and died. He was buried on April 25th. Just want to remember him. And he was remembered the other day at the memorial that was held on Friday out at the Sheriff's Department, which was a very good event. Sheriff, I applaud y'all for that. And the only other thing I have, I would request, Mr. Chairman, if we could move item 16, if we could vote on that, and that is for the Building Commission, and I would like to recommend reappointment of Jeff Clark as the Building Commissioner of Madison County.
Item number 16, recommendation. Do I have a motion on the floor?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Back to item number 10. Any amendments, transfers to the general fund, school department, capital project, highway department, debt service, juvenile court service, budget for fiscal year 2020-2021. Commissioner Johnson.
Fund 141, general purpose schools, item 1, $2,206 insurance recovery.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 2, $878,023 summer learning camp grant.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 3, $131,742 stream mini camp grant.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Fund 143, food services, item 4, $200,000 fiscal amendment reallocates funds to cover the purchase of additional equipment for the JCM modem and for Madison.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Fund 177, educational capital, item 5, $5,936 insurance recovery.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Insurance recovery refund, item 6, Sheriff's Department, $6,000. Recording educated amount of drug money seized.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 7, EMA, $290.42 overpayment to Amazon.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 8, Sheriff's Department, $61,000 and $62.74 organized crime drug task force overtime reimbursement.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 9, Sheriff's Department, $10,853.34 insurance recovery for total Chevrolet Tahoe.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 10, Sheriff's Department, $8,593.34 insurance recovery for total 1914 Ford Interceptor.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 11, Recreation, $2,500. Grant monies received from United Way, $500, and Amerigroup Corporation, $2,000.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 12, EMA, $26,937. Tornado siren insurance recovery.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 13, Fire, $76,333.40 insurance recovery for damage at radio towers.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 14, Fire, $3,400 reimbursement for live burn and dispatch training.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 15, Sheriff's Department, $180,943 set up mental health transport grant.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 16, Sheriff's Department, $150,000 establishing lost home grant.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Commissioner Stevenson.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I was just wondering if we knew how many jobs were attached to this grant.
Sheriff.
There would be one dog handler attached to this grant.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 17, Juvenile Court Services, $10,000 new VOCA Safe Court Grant.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 18, Human Resources, $3,400 transfer funds to cover payout to Director Tony White.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 19, Human Resources, $500 transfer money to purchase ergonomic office chair.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 20, Information Technology, $1,350. CTS, COCTP, capstone registration and incentive pay for 2 employees.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 21, Community Corrections, $1,000. This request is made in order to realign funds where costs have incurred for data processing.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
22, Community Corrections, $30,000. Request made to purchase 2 laptops to use in court and to purchase a new vehicle from state contract.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 23, E911, 13,000. Dispatcher bonuses and year-end benefit cleanup.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 24, Sheriff's Department, $7,700, transfer money from underspent accounts to overspent accounts.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 25, internal audit, $238.34, transfer money from office supplies to dues and membership to cover CFE and GFOA.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 26, VA services, $707.65, to hire veteran shirts, business cards, and office supplies.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 27, miscellaneous, moving money between line items to cover expenses for remainder of year.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 28, solid waste, convenience center, $40,000, transferring from salary line to increase overtime pay, maintenance and repairability line, and solid waste equipment. Decreasing capital request for fiscal year 22.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No.
Item 29, Health Department, local direct, $18,000. Increases overtime pay and data processing services.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 30, juvenile court services, $8,860, year-end cleanup adjustments.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 31, highway, $4,600, year-end cleanup adjustments.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 32, general fund, finance, $396,510, year-end benefit adjustments.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 33, EMA, disaster relief, $11,000, contracted services for disaster COVID and May 2020 storms. These are reimbursable through FEMA.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 34, election commission, $18,141.55, budgeting funds to cover the overlapping salary for administrator of elections.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 35, finance, $9,765, transferring money to upgrade 8 laptops.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 36, juvenile court services, $13,546.66, replacing cameras for storm damage.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 37, circuit court clerk, $12,000 money allocated to capital committee for new chairs for circuit court.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 38, EMA, $13,468.50, tornado siren.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 39, general and miscellaneous, $50,000 allocated funds for Madison County bicentennial.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 40, finance, election, fire, and sheriff, $61,132.72, termination payout for April.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Item 41, EMA disaster relief, $8,000 disaster relief for COVID-19 operations.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
There's one more that's not on the list I had. It's General Sessions, Division 2. They asked to transfer some money from Gang Prevention Services that hadn't been spent, site development. And, anyway, there's a total of $33,138 that was asked, 17 cents asked to be transferred from that to study of site development. Judge, is anything you want to say on this?
Just that we didn't use that money this year because of the jobs, summer jobs program not being able to be implemented from the, obviously due to COVID. This money would be used, I have TLM here to help us with site planning and some other information for some upcoming things that we would like to do with those funds that we weren't able to spend this year. And I just thank you to please allow us to do that so we can get some needed surveys and other things done. And we're just asking for a new line item so that we can use that money that we didn't spend this year.
We talked about
That was a committee recommendation.
committee recommendation.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
We have one more that we're going to need to suspend the rules on, and this is from maintenance. And I move that we suspend the rules.
Second.
Have a motion second to suspend the rules. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
Anyway, there's a total of $5,000 in fund balance, maintenance and repair of buildings. And anyway, amended budget is, Karen, you need to add anything to this?
Chairman, that's the 5,000 for the beach club. That's all right.
We've already voted.
All right.
We haven't voted on
All
the
right.
amendment. We didn't vote on the amendment. We didn't vote on the money amendment.
Did we not vote for Harold's?
We had nothing about
The 5,000? That's what this is?
We hadn't voted on the amendment.
I'll make a motion that we approve the amendment for $5,000.
Have motion second. Any discussion? Commissioner Brown. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Well, that was enough.
Yeah, it was.
Item number 12, consideration of possible approval of private act adopting Madison County Sheriff's Civil Service Law of 2021.
Mr. Chairman, I think this was already circulated. You'll recall a few months ago we passed a resolution with the proposed private act to make some procedural changes to the civil service law we have in effect now. The state legislature has now approved those changes, and that's been signed by the governor of the state of Tennessee. Now it is required for you to vote again on that. It does take a 2/3 vote to pass. But it's the same thing you approved previously.
Need a motion?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve. Have a second for Commissioner Wall. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alexander.
Yes.
Arnold.
Yes.
Beckham.
Yes.
Brantley.
Yes.
Brown Claudel.
Yes.
Brown Scott.
Yes.
Bryant.
Yes.
Bush.
Yes.
Quick.
Yes.
Compton. Yes. Deaton.
Yes.
Ellison.
Yes.
Gobble.
Yes.
Hale. Hampton Pearson.
Yes.
Johnson Arthur.
Yes.
Johnson Barber.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Mercer.
Yes.
Montague.
Yes.
Petty.
Yes.
Spearman. Stevenson.
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
Walt.
Yes.
I have 23 yes, 0 no.
Motion approved. Item number 13, discussion of the expansion of the election commission room to secure new voting machines to comply with state law. Commissioner Petty.
Commissioner Petty can explain exactly where this room is, and I think this will end most of the objection that we had.
Can we zoom in on that just a little bit? Okay. Of course, put the cursor on where we're at right now. The auditorium. Yeah, in the back right there, in the middle. All right, so, and then right directly behind us here, and right next to the election commission is that conference room that we're talking about right now. And it's just a matter of, because they needed a place to store these new voting machines that are larger size, a lot of other reasons. And Lori, if you want to take the floor, or Phil, you either want to,
Let me get a motion on the floor first. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
What's the motion?
The motion is to use this facility for the election commission storage of the voting machines temporarily until we decide on another remedy to the situation.
And I think their request was to take that room June 21.
That's correct.
Are you talking about using this room or the room behind?
The room behind.
14 and 22.
Anything that room has been used for can be done.
Do I have that, if I had the motion, who's second?
Mr. Chairman, I second.
Second, okay, go right ahead.
All right. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman and County Commissioners. We have outgrown our space tremendously. I've tried to keep this very brief. We, for several years, have kind of gotten by. We have over there now 236, every voting machine in the county is stored in the offices and stacked literally to the ceilings. We'd love for you to come visit after the meeting if you'd like. We have about 50 JVCs, that's the actual tabulator that is there. We're just literally out of space. And so when we hired Ms. Lott, the board, to ask her to try to remedy this problem, because on election times, things get really, really, really crazy. So, and it's extraordinarily crowded. So we have a complete office loss. You know, we also had the addition last year of all of the PPE stuff, which was all the plexiglass and all the stuff, which added and compounded our problem. So what we decided as the board is that this room is next to our room. It is very important, especially considering everything that happened in the election last year, a lot of the accusations and things like that, that we keep our voting machines on site, under our camera watch, under our lock and key, so we can make sure that the voting machines are not tampered with, that are dealt with, that we're the only ones, we being the election officer, the only one that has access to them. So we are asking that we be allowed to take over that space over there and move our current machine on the first June is what we asked for. So with that, we're out of space. It's going to be we realize it's going to inconvenience Mr. Kane and them, but we do believe that they can use this facility with that. So I'm glad to answer his question.
There's also a situation that those machines need to be accessible at all times to the election commission for updating, for training purposes, and so on and so forth. So, and that's one of the reasons, because it's awfully convenient for them to be able to have everything in line of sight situation.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes, is this a good time to have Ms. Dawn speak now, since we're talking about this?
Yeah, well, sure, she can once they finish.
Okay.
I hear very poorly, so sometimes somebody has to relay and tell me if anybody responds. But I do want to thank you for the opportunity of representing the Ag Committee, the Ag community. And I do think it's a great plan to move the election machines into the small conference room. I've had plenty of meetings that have been there. I've been in hundreds of meetings that are ag-related here. And in this building, one of the problems that I see, and many see in the ag community, is reserving this auditorium for 3 30-day periods, one for each of the elections that are going on next year, is a problem because it will further disrupt the ag programs that are here. As a former 20-year election commission officer in Spring Creek, I did come to the meetings that were held here. When I was here for a meeting, we never had a machine in this room while we were meeting. We were trained, and we were trained with a manual, and we knew exactly what to do, and there was no machine in here. So after the 2 training meetings, then there was a freedom to use this space until it was time for early voting. And what I am requesting that you consider that this not tie up the machines for, let's see, I've got the dates.
There won't be any machines.
What?
There won't be any machines. They're being stored over there.
Okay, so it won't be from March. What are those dates? What are the dates that you propose?
I can answer your question for you on that.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically, just so you know the way the election cycle works, for example, this happened to be this year, there are not any elections this year. So this room is going to be used forever. Basically, we used it one day, we set up our vendors for our voting machines to come in, and I think we used it one other day. And so the Election Commission has no use for this room. Next year, there will be 3 elections, right? And we're requesting those. We do not have, and so everybody knows, those dates are set by state law. We have no control when those elections are held. They're by statute. So during that period of time, you have, as you said, we do have poll worker training, and in there, I don't know what.
So we are going to have new voting machines, and therefore the poll workers will have to be trained on those machines. They're brand new. They're going to be new to the poll workers. 293 poll workers that I currently have. So yes, there will be machines in this room.
So will you have 25 machines in here while you're training, or with just 1 machine?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. The vendor will bring those in, and we haven't set those.
And the trustees do that.
Yeah, but the other item is, and I'm not trying to interrupt you, I'm just trying to answer your question. The other item is, every machine has to be set up in here before voting, just to program the machines, just to set the ballots on the machine. So we have to physically we don't control that time. We get a window, and so there's the time on that. So to answer your question, this year, 0. Next year, we will use it 18 weeks, okay? Now, it may be a few days in there, but we have to earmark those dates because we're not controlled by the vendor that sets it up, basically tells us 2 weeks in advance. That's generally what we get. The next year, which will be the city election, we will have, absent a runoff, we will be using it for 6 weeks. The following year, which will be another big year, will be 18. So if you take a 4-year election cycle, we will use this facility a total of 40 weeks, or about 10 weeks a year on average.
So it won't be an ag auditorium anymore. It will be an election auditorium.
And so again, all those decisions were made prior to any of us that's on the board now. So we're here, we're just trying to.
Mr. Brown.
That's over a 4-year. Yes, 4-year period. 40 weeks over a 4-year period. That's right.
Mr. Brown.
Yes, sir. In my couple of years in this world, I found out that people of goodwill can work through and accommodate anything that they will to. In our previous discussions, we had 3 things that stands out in my mind. One is that you have, the election commission has to store the machines. That's not debatable, okay? They have to store in a secure place that they have control of. Number 2 is that we have lease and other occupants here who we owe from a moral, contractual, and lease standpoint, some respect and some accommodations. Lastly, in order to train on a machine, like working on a car, you don't have to have every machine in here. In some cases, somebody tell me why you can work this out and everybody be able to have accessibility to this room. The county did not build this room for to be monopolized. And we want to respect everybody. This seems more like a power struggle. And I'm not saying which end or not a will to cooperate. This could be taken care of simple if you respect everybody's right to operate and exist.
Commissioner Stevenson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One of the things I want to make the commission aware of, and Dr. King, we've had a discussion about, Dr. King is going to be moving his operation down to the Madison Academic High School. What we've talked about for the election commission, and I'm working with them on the space, is trying to move them over there. Now, I mean, it's a temporary, we've got a temporary inconvenience here, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But what we're trying to do is move that over there. They can do early voting over there. Am I saying that right, Woodfield? So I'm just saying is, based on Superintendent King's time frame, I think this is something that we can work out. And,
We're trying to accommodate both departments the very best we can, and we will do that.
So I just want to make the commission aware of that.
Commissioner Coppell.
Mr. Chairman, question for Mr. Bryant, Ms. Watt. The average of 10 weeks per year over the election cycle, is that any different moving forward than what it has been in the past? No. So this room has been used in the past average of 10 weeks.
It may be, in fairness, we have difficulty scheduling the room in the past. Okay, if you were to ask the previous administrator, for example, and again, this not trying to get into any argument, literally we had to set up for early voting. They had things scheduled in here the night before early voting started, and they didn't vacate this till 10 o'clock. We could not even get in the room to set up for till 6 o'clock in the morning.
Our motion on the floor is to move the election commission, take over that 14 by 22 room to store their machines. We're not, the motion has nothing to do with this big one. Commissioner Stevenson.
The only amendment is, I believe that you wanted to do it on June 1st.
June 1, occupied by June 1. Right.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Our biggest issue is if this is going to be, if it's temporary, I think we could work it out because they may be gone by the next year. But if we move into 2022, well, they've used it 17 weeks out of the year, and it's not a consecutive.
That's not the motion on the floor. The motion they're discussing is that 14 by 22 room.
I was just answering a question. So if we have consecutive things planned, like we have monthly events that are held on certain days, but we don't get to do it in that month, then it just it messes with the flow. So our biggest issue is if you take this room and use it 17 weeks and also take this for storage, we have nowhere to do programs.
Yes, you do. There's, you need space. I'm sure that when you get with us, even our little meeting area we have down at the finance office. You're welcome to come down there and use that on a temporary basis.
So how long
We can work things out.
Yes, sir, so how long would this be?
I call for question, Mr. Chairman.
Question's been called for. Do I have a second?
I second.
Have a second? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.
I want to answer that question.
Debate's over with. No more
Well,
discussion.
you have to, if anybody.
Call for the question.
Okay. I still oppose.
Everybody understand the motion?
Mr. Chairman, I was standing.
Debate's over with.
Oh, Lord. I just want to.
We'll call for the question.
I want to agree with Doug that we move them.
We call for the question, roll call.
Alexander? Yeah. Arnold?
Yes.
Beckley?
Yes. Yes.
Franklin?
No.
Brown Claudel?
No, sir. No, sir.
Brown Scott? Yes. Sir?
Yes.
Thank you. Brian?
Yes.
Bush?
Yes.
Cleek? Yes. Compton? Yes. Deep?
Yes.
Ellison?
Yes.
Cobble?
Yes.
Hale? Hampton Pearson?
No.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
No.
I thank you. Johnson Arthur?
Yes.
Johnson Barber?
Yes.
Martin?
No.
Mercer?
No.
Montague?
Yes.
Sir?
Yes.
Thank you. Petty?
Yes.
Spearman? Stevenson?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Wall?
Yes.
Anybody want to change their vote?
Chairman, I heard 18 yes, 5 no.
18 yeses, 5 no. Motion passes. Item number 14, appointment of 9 members to the Environmental Advisory Appeals Board by this body, 1-year term. Bart Wall, Mike Butler, Jimmy Holman, Charles Bird, Robert Mullins, Jeff Wall, Terry Strout. Terry Strout's gone, isn't he?
Yes, it's gone.
And Chris Todd, and Eric Turner.
Except for Stroud.
What?
I said you can do this motion except for Stroud.
Terry Strout, go ahead.
Like I say, Mr. Stroud's no longer an employee, so that spot would need to be filled by someone else from the building commissioner.
We can vote on everybody else. They have a second? Second, Commissioner Johnson. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Item number 15, appointment of 7 members of the Madison County Property Codes Enforcement Appeal Board by this body, 1-year term. Ronald Overton, Barbara Johnson, Candy Overstreet, Mike Winslow, Bart Wall, Eric Turner, and we have 1 vacancy.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Commissioner Carl Alexander for that position.
Carl Alexander. Any other nominations?
Second the nomination.
Have a second? We voting on all?
No one's nominated the other incumbents.
Yeah, we need, you nominate the incumbent also, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we nominate the incumbent, the vacancy be filled by Carl Alexander. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. We've already done 16, election of notary publics. Motion?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Martin, second by Commissioner Compton. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Item number 17, all matters related to or connected with matters set forth in items 1 through 17.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Compton presented a proposal to a superintendent this past Tuesday night at the Education Vision Committee. A lot of money was involved. I assume this will be coming up then next month, maybe?
Whenever it's presented to the finance manager.
Well, this is the proposal you presented to the superintendent, right?
I didn't present a proposal to the
Well,
superintendent.
it was the Education Vision Committee. proposal by the board.
There was a proposal made by the school board. There was a presentation, but not by the commission.
Okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I thought that you handed out the folders.
No, sir.
Okay.
That was the school board.
But anyway, it was presented at our Education Division Committee, I think about $750,000. And I believe it'll be coming up probably next month, and the commission needs to have the information on it and get aware of it.
Yeah, I agree.
Mr. Lee, Dr. King in his presentation mentioned that. He's going to be getting with the Budget Committee and Financial Management for further discussion on that.
Right.
So we'll be addressing that.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes, on another matter, a few years ago, I want to be for all departments. For all departments. A few years ago, we utilized we debated incentive pay, God, the sheriff, a couple of departments. Traditionally, the Personnel Committee is responsible for enforcing and setting and recommending to the Commission policies for personnel. Finance and operations come from the Finance Department and the Human Resource Committee. We had an item today, and we had one not too long ago. When incentive pay, not raise the promotion, come up, that needs to be, the Personnel Committee needs to be involved in that. And they have not been. And I just want an explanation if I can. If we could, for general fund, we're not talking about elected officials, but for general fund employees, we have a personnel policy that needs to be applied with regard to incentive pay and everything else, which means it needs to go through that committee.
Ms. Johnson, you can speak now.
I just said that I wanted to agree with what Doug said, that we think about storing those things over in the building that these.
Well, that's what's taking place. It's just gonna take a little time. We're trying to accommodate both departments the very best we can, and we'll do that.
Thank you for letting
Yes,
me
ma'am.
speak.
Commissioner Rowan. Attorney Rowan.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, there was also a resolution submitted to the members of the commission in their packet, a resolution to approve a TIPS membership agreement. I believe this was a recommendation from the Finance Committee. It's on the board there, but that's something that needs to also be voted on. If there's any further detail about that agreement that's attached to this resolution, I would defer to Ms. Bell to explain.
This resolution was presented to us from the IT director, and it is basically allowing us to become a member of a cooperative. And Matt Preston's here if you have any questions about it, but basically this has to go through resolution so that purchasing cooperative is available to Madison County.
This came out of Finance Committee, right?
Yes, it did. It was approved by.
Committee recommendation, no second required. Commissioner Petty. Any other discussion?
What committee? Finance Committee?
Finance Committee. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Lori Nunnery with Visit Jackson. Just as a reminder, coming up this month, we have several events that I want to make you aware of. First of all, May 24th through the 29th, we have the National Invitational Tournament of Champions for Speech and Debate. That'll be at Union University. We'll have students from all across the nation that'll be attending here and staying in our hotels and out. So they are looking for volunteers to judge the speeches. So if you ever needed uplifted, these are some of the brightest students from across the nation. I would come be a part of that, and if you're interested, you can contact me or Union University to be a volunteer to judge the speeches during the competition. Also, the 27th through the 29th, we have the Ohio Valley Conference Baseball Championship out at the ballpark. Now, I would encourage you to attend this event. We've had a long history with the Ohio Valley Conference and their baseball championships here, and we're looking forward to extending that relationship into the future, as well as attracting more events from the Ohio Valley Conference to Jackson. So I know there's a lot of things going on with that people may be avoiding, and I'd like to encourage you to attend the Ohio Valley Conference Baseball Championships, the 27th through the 29th. We also have the Highway 70 yard sale. This is their 18th year. That'll be June 10th through 12th. on the weekend, and we're a part of that. And I'd also encourage you to mark your calendars for the Miss Tennessee Volunteer Pageant. That'll be June 16th through 19th. So we have a lot of large-scale events going on. Our hotels are doing very well. Business is really strong. It's like most businesses, though, right now we're struggling with employees. So we're encouraged by the steps that the government is taking to encourage people to get back to work, because it is impacting us greatly in the tourism and hospitality fields. And thank you.
Commissioner Alexander.
Lori, if you don't mind, Lori, where will we find ticket information for that, for the Ohio Valley Show?
Ohio Valley Conference, they'll have the gate open, that you can get it on there, or you can check through our website, Visit Jackson.
Thank you.
Anything else? Good. Yes, sir, Rob.
I'd just like to give a quick update on the roads that we have closed. Bowman Road and Mandy Roads that we have closed. We have made pretty significant progress on both of those. We look to have Bowman Road open sometime this week, probably later in the week. And the head walls are being constructed now on Mandy Road. And we look to have Mandy open possibly towards the end of next week, of course, weather permitting. Weather hasn't cooperated much over the last month. We've had quite a few down days. Also, just wanted to mention, we do have a couple of bridge closures. I know bridges have been in the news quite a bit lately. TDOT's been inspecting our bridges before the Hernando de Soto Bridge issue was discovered. TDOT was in our county inspecting all 212 bridges and found a couple issues that are fairly minor on a couple we have closed. One we look to have probably open back up maybe the latter part of this week. That's on Allen Road. And another bridge that's closed on John Brown Road, and we are going to replace that bridge, so it'll be closed for probably the next 4 months while we get that thing bid and constructed. But just wanted to give that quick update on our roads.
Thank you, Barb. Anything else? Do we have a motion to adjourn? Roll call.
Alexander. Yes. Arnold.
Yes.
Beckham.
Yes.
Brantley.